Welcome back to episode 15, Sacred Remedies, Discovering Plant-Based Healing in Costa Rica. Jon is here with me today, my lovely husband. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I'm so glad to have you back. Jon just recently went on a trip to Costa Rica for 4 days.
Yeah, it's gone for 5 total.
Yeah, and we're going to share today a little bit about what he learned while in Costa Rica. But first, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on here in Arizona. Our kids are back in school, all 4 of them.
It's bittersweet.
Yes, we have a senior this year. It's really weird having a senior, but having all the kids back in school, it's really quiet around here.
I would say my favorite story so far is Grant coming home and talking about his Spanish class.
He cannot understand his Spanish teacher. And I said, that's fine. She's speaking Spanish. You'll learn. And he said, no, Mom, I can't understand her when she's speaking English.
I was like, good for you. This is immersion learning.
So it'll be really good for that kid to really start picking up on Spanish and the Spanish accent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. But they're doing well. We love having them around, but it is nice that they're at school, and
well, it gives them something to do.
Yeah.
It's funny, at the end of summertime, they tend to get just a little bit bored. And then when they run out of things to do, it's time to go back to school.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's like a good season in our life that's beginning now. So, and the weather has cooled down a little. In my last podcast, I reported that we were hitting like 118 consecutively. Mm-hmm. It's now just like 112. So it's like a little vacation from the heat right now.
The pool's no longer boiling.
Right. Just a little less than boiling. Yeah. So in Costa Rica, Jon, share with us a little bit about what inspired you in the first place to go to Costa Rica. And you were exploring like alternative plant-based medicine. So what inspired you to choose Costa Rica?
Costa Rica, I chose that because really it was the easiest place to get to. I mean, there's a couple of places where I could go and study plant-based medicines that I wanted to.
Oh.
I could go to Costa Rica. I could go to some areas down in southern Mexico. You could take a flight down, but then, you're spending hours in a car trying to get to these places, mm-hmm. deep, dark into the jungle. The Amazon, there's some centers there where you could learn, and then also Peru. For Costa Rica, you're able to fly right into an airport and within a couple of hours be up into the mountains. And I can tell you, I've never seen anything more green in my life.
Really?
It was absolutely gorgeous.
We've been to like Oregon,
Hawaii. We've been to all the places. This is actually more green than those.
Oh, that's hard to believe.
It was beautiful.
Okay. Beautiful. So it's just that there's a few places that offer this plant-based medicine journey.
When we talk about plant-based medicine, we're talking about remedies and treatments and therapies that have been around for thousands of years. Mm-hmm. That up until the advent of medicine, modern medicine and whatnot, they've gotten forgotten about.
Yeah. So what were some of the most like fascinating plant-based remedies that you came across when you were there?
Well, I mean, aside from talking with the shaman down there about the beauties of the cannabis plant and how that's therapeutic, and we actually utilize that on a daily basis with CBD.
Right. And we talked about that in a few podcasts ago.
Yeah, and he's just a huge fan of cannabis and CBD. Just a huge fan, which was really cool. But then down,
just a review, that's taking you're not using the THC, the part where you're getting high. It's just the medical benefits of calming and relaxation.
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, he likes the other parts too, but those aren't necessarily good for day-to-day life.
Right. Okay. So what else did you experience down there?
While I was down there, I learned a little bit about an herb they call rapé.
Okay.
Rapé is it comes from the Nicotina rustica plant, so it's actually an ancient tobacco. It's not like what we would refer to today or what is grown in the United States as what is tobacco now.
Okay.
And so it does differentiate itself from like, cigarette tobacco and cigar tobacco. But that is also mixed with several different herbs and ashes to provide an effect, which is really, really neat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, when this particular substance is utilized in ceremony, it helps stimulate certain parts of the brain, particularly the pineal gland.
What does that do?
Well, our pineal gland, when we think about the pineal gland, think about that's where spirituality comes from in our body. It's shaped very interesting. It's shaped like the eye of Ra. In ancient times, we knew about the Egyptians knew about the pineal gland and how that related to spirituality, which is really, really cool.
So there's a gland in our body shaped like the eye of Ra.
Yes.
That leads to our spirituality.
That's where the center of spirituality comes from.
And
correct,
this rapé herb,
it frees that up. Well, what's interesting is when we get into a lifestyle of depression and anxiety, and we aren't experiencing spirituality on a normal everyday basis, the pineal gland actually gets calcified. And so it can't do its job of helping us achieve spirituality. And so as a result of using this rapé, introducing this in the ceremony, it breaks down some of those calcifications and lubricates the pineal gland.
And that's in our brain, the pineal gland?
Yep.
Wow. Where is it located?
It's located right in the center of the brain, almost down at the base of the brain.
That's so interesting and amazing that ancient Egyptians, and like you said, like these things have been used for millennial.
Eons.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of Christianity has been rooted in plant-based medicine, which is absolutely mind-blowing.
What do you mean?
Well, plant-based medicines have been used in ceremony to bring us closer to God for years and years. And,
and worn off evil spirits.
Absolutely.
Too, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of
they're used for healing, and it's a different type of healing than what we typically look at in Western medicine of, hey, you've got a problem, let's go fix that. Plant-based medicines are more centered on body, mind, and spirit as a whole.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it seems like our pharmaceuticals that we have here, it's like you have digestive issues. Here's a pill for digestive issues.
Yeah, take your purple pill.
Headache. Here's your
here's your migraine medication.
Right, but you're saying like when you maybe open up some of these areas in the body, that it has like a wholesome like mind, body, spirit.
Absolutely.
Healing.
It's amazing how many diseases can be caused just by the mind not functioning properly. I mean, we think about when we do run a stressful life, what that does for our hormones in our body, how inflammation then occurs, and then we wind up with chronic disease.
It's all connected. Yeah, for sure. So what other, I saw a vial of dragon's blood on the counter in the bathroom.
Well, we can't talk about dragon's blood without talking about kambo.
Okay.
So,
is this from, I just have to, just tell me if it's from a real dragon. Tell me if there are dragons in Costa Rica.
It's actually from a draconis plant, and it gets its name from the root being very red in color. And so it's the
draconis plant.
Yes,
the root is
it's
red.
A dragon plant.
Okay.
And what they do is they beat out the extract rather the juices out of the roots, and they use this root as medicine.
What does that do? The dragon's blood.
So dragon's blood.
I would want it to like help me defeat evil and grow wings, possibly breathe fire. Is that? Am I off here?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so it's not going to turn into
dragon's blood is amazing. It's a very strong antioxidant. Very, very strong.
Okay, antioxidant meaning it fights disease.
It fights inflammation. In the body. When we have oxidation in the body, essentially, it's oxidation in the body is destroying our own cells. And so when we have something that's an antioxidant, it's actually combating that destruction of our cells.
So it protects your cells. Does it help build new cells?
It does help build new cells as well.
Okay.
Yes, it can be regenerative. It also has antibiotic properties to it. So, when I talked about going through my Kambo ceremony, it involved very, very superficial burns on the skin. And they treat those areas in the skin with dragon's blood. And, here in Western medicine, we might compare that to Neosporin. So it's it's nature's own Neosporin.
Wow. Does it, but it heals burns, you're saying?
Yes, it's very good for the digestive tract as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's many people that actually drink this internally, and it helps digestion.
I guess that's what I'm trying to comprehend with plant medicine, is because I'm so aware of the American culture, how one pill is for one thing.
Yeah.
But then you say like CBD, it's for anxiety.
Plant medicine, it's like when we
sleep,
talk about plant-based medicines, it's like, man, this is snake oil.
right, like it's good for so many problems that you're having, and so it's hard for me to like jump on board with that because I'm so ingrained in this culture where there's one pill for every problem, or there's like 10 pills for one problem.
And when
And
we
this
have,
is like one solution for like 100 problems. It's like the opposite,
and
right?
I talked to the shaman about that, and I loved his parting words with me after my interview, and that was, plant medicine is all about trust.
Trust.
Now, we can have many problems in the body. We don't know whether those, if we are sick, we don't know whether those truly are a physical problem, whether it is a deep ingrained spiritual problem, or whether it is a mind problem, or maybe it's a combination of all three.
Wow.
Now, when we trust the plant medicines, it allows these medicines to do what it is they need to do to increase our spirituality, to heal our body, whether we're dealing with a deep-seated parasite in the body or bacterial infection, or if we need help in the mind.
Wow.
And so he said, when you're going through the ceremonies, doctor, it's very important that you learn how to trust.
Doctor. He said that, doctor, because doctors don't like to trust the sort
Correct.
of thing.
Yeah. We want this evidence of everything. And
yeah. Well,
and,
that's what you've been trained to look for, the evidence, the proof.
Yeah. And if you want to learn more about Don Gino, I mean, it's he's got a website, shakaruna.com.
We can put that in the show notes.
Yeah. Well. Don Gino is a wonderful and such a beautiful, beautiful individual.
So that's the shaman?
The shaman.
Okay.
And then he travels with an osteopath, which, she teaches us about lymphatics in the system and how that works, and how when you have something locked up in your lymph system, how it can affect you if the fluids aren't circulating properly.
Right. And that combo that you took drained out the lymphatic system.
Oh boy, did it. Yeah. So we'll have to, maybe we do an episode just on combo.
Oh, definitely.
So,
okay. I wanted to ask, so in Costa Rica, and maybe you know this or you don't, but is this like a general practice in the community? Like, do people there in Costa Rica do these plant-based? Really?
No, they don't. What's really interesting is when you go and read, I mean, I'm thinking, I'm going to go to Costa Rica and I'm going to be able to eat these beautiful fruits and organic this and that. It's actually not that way. Costa Rica is actually one of the greatest abusers of pesticides in growing fruits.
Really?
I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And things that I have a problem with in the States, specifically glyphosates, which is, we find those in Roundup, which is why I just can't eat wheat-based products here because they make me ill.
Right. That's why some people are like, how can I eat wheat-based products in Italy, but not in America?
Because they don't use those things there, and they're illegal. But actually
but they're legal here.
Correct. Yeah. But the WHO has actually, basically called Costa Rica to repentance on their usage of pesticides because it's such a prevalent problem. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So the people aren't even using this plant-based medicine that's originated from
the
there?
reason why I went to Costa Rica is because there are certain plant-based medicines which I felt the need to experience because of their therapeutic properties that are illegal. In the United States.
Okay.
Correct.
So that doesn't mean like just because they're offering this experience in Costa Rica that everyone in Costa Rica is like familiar with this sort of.
No, in fact, when I was talking to my private drivers and letting them know what I was doing, it was like, oh, okay. So tell me a little bit about that. I don't know anything about it.
No idea.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So it's definitely more prevalent in Peru. When we
culturally,
when we go to the Sacred Valley, we learn a lot more about these things. And then in the Amazon, it's very deep rooted in the Amazon and the religions of the Amazon.
And this shaman, is he from Costa Rica or where is he from?
He's from Peru.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I caught him on a pilgrimage across the world. One of his stops was in Costa Rica. He was going then from there to Norway and then to Switzerland and several other places doing these 3-day seminars on what it's all about. And at these, then he invites you to really do the deep learning, which is maybe 2 weeks in the Amazon, where you're actually you're living what's called a dieta, meaning a very specific way of life. It's almost like going and living in a Buddhist temple in
Oh,
Japan, only the Amazon way.
he offers this experience.
Yes, he
and
does.
this is the 15-day thing
15
that you're
day,
talking
yeah,
about.
where you're very much living in
Wow.
isolation every day. You're learning about plant medicines. You're learning about learning about plant diets. Very, very, very cool stuff.
Wow, I don't know if you could pay me to live isolated in the Amazon on plants for 15 days.
It is hard work.
Yeah, I bet. I don't know if I have that in me, but it sounds amazing.
I talked to several people who came to visit Don Gino for this experience because they're familiar with the program. They actually went to his program in the Amazon.
Oh, they did.
And they just had amazing things to say about it. And it from a personal growth standpoint, because when you're forced to be alone in isolation with your own thoughts, with no cell phone signal, only a journal and perhaps a musical instrument, you're really doing the deep work.
That can be really uncomfortable.
Absolutely. And that's where the deep work happens, is when we're uncomfortable.
I think that's similar to the Japanese, like with the Buddhist temples, and it's just quiet and still, and you go into silence, silence.
And with us living in a place where our brains are so noisy all the time and we're conditioned to noise, silence can be frightening.
Yeah. So I had a busy day yesterday and around a lot of noisy things. I mean, we live in the city naturally, it's noisy, but even like at the grocery store, there was Coinstar was like filtering out somebody's coins, and then the alarm went off, and then it was just like the speaker went off, and just noise. And I got home from this very noisy day that I had, and I was in the basement in our daughter's room. And it was so quiet that my ears were like ringing. Yeah. It was intense. I was like, I think I've got to go listen to some noise because it's so quiet down here. Yeah. But that is amazing. So these people that went to the Amazon and they follow Don Gino, and they're like his fan club.
Kind of, yeah. But he has many fans worldwide.
Yeah, well,
worldwide. He's a very well-known shaman.
What is the result? I mean, why are they his fans? What's the result when they go to the Amazon, when they do these retreats? Why do they keep coming back for more?
The result is personal growth. I can share one experience I had down there with one night, and I didn't realize how significant it was, and it was regarding my dog Bailey. And for anybody that knows us, we lost poor little Bailey about 18 months ago, and it
was a year ago this month.
Was it a year?
Yeah, it was a year ago because it was coming up on Josie's birthday.
Okay. So, and it was a hard time because she died and it was our fault. And during that time, it was really interesting because I felt like as the husband, as the provider and the caretaker, I needed to be strong for everybody in our family so they could have this opportunity to grieve. And there's Lily outside.
Lily's barking outside, our new dog.
And I didn't realize that I had not had that opportunity to grieve. And I went down there, and in one of my ceremonies, in a meditation, I was able to play with my dog Bailey again.
Oh.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful, and she was just as vibrant and wonderful as ever. And then I got to go through the process of her passing away and the process of then burying her. And there was a lot of sadness around that, but understanding that, wow, this grief that I was carrying around was influencing my relationship with my new dog, which is not fair to her. It was influencing my relationship with my own children.
Wow.
And to be able to actually let that grief go and in a healthy way, that was just awe-inspiring to me. And I woke up the next day a different person. Now you think about a dog dying, that's in the grand scheme of things, it's so insignificant, but it became so significant at that point.
Well, and you think about, people are like, oh, I don't really have a lot of work to do. I don't have like major childhood trauma. I wasn't, molested, or like what these major things that happen in people's lives. They say, oh, I don't need to work through, I haven't gone through divorce or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not what this is about. Everyone just being on the planet has had.
Every single person will experience trauma in his or her own way. And what we don't do is we don't identify that. We as humans are really good at squashing that down. And for that reason, we actually do need to do a podcast on plant medicine specific to this type of work.
Yeah.
Because it talks really about that trauma and where that trauma is held and how we can unlock it and actually do that work.
Yeah. Like we hold it in our bodies and it really creates some problems for us, like blockages, right?
Huge.
Like physical, mental, spiritual, like you were saying.
Huge.
And we don't even realize they're there.
No.
Like you weren't going saying, hey, I want to get over this thing I had with my dog
No.
Bailey a year ago.
No, I went into this completely unassuming. I didn't know what I was going to experience.
How did you go into this experience? I want you to, I know you've told me, but I want you to tell the listeners.
Yeah.
You went in, because some people go in like, okay, I want to really dive into this part of my past so I can heal and get over that.
You want to know what my intention was?
Yes. What did you set as your intention?
My intention was, this sounds very, very silly. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it's deep. But I was there to seek answers to the questions I don't know to ask.
And what does that mean to you?
It means that there's a lot of things around us, and that's what it's hard to nail down exactly what that means.
I think this, like, we think we know so much.
We think we do. We think we have it all figured out.
You do know a lot. And as a doctor, you've studied a lot and you just love to learn.
Yeah, but in our lives, we make these agreements with ourselves that this is how life is. And life is not any different. And this is what is true. And nothing else can be looked at any other way. I went down there with kind of an open mind. Okay, so what questions do I need to be asking?
Yeah.
And there was another night. It was beautiful. I went into that one with a migraine headache, and my meditation and my question that I kept asking is, what is broken? What is broken? I had a very profound spiritual experience. It was very healing for me spiritually. That the answer was, there's nothing broken. And that I have imperfections and that I have physical challenges or mental challenges in order to introduce me to the people that I need to meet as part of my journey.
Wow.
And how beautiful is that to have that validation as a child of God, or validation as a journeyer here on this earth. Mm-hmm. It filled me with a lot of purpose.
That's amazing. I know that since you've been back, you've felt this renewed energy, and you're just.
Yeah, I have less TV time, right?
Yeah.
I loved my movies,
no
but
complaints
now
it's
like I can't find enough books. I can't pick up enough books right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think that getting back to why people follow him around, it must be just continual self-discovery, mm-hmm. and that they feel so much relief. Mm-hmm. But then also so much purpose afterwards.
And keep in mind, Don Gino will be the first one to admit that he is just a man. And he really is. It's the plant medicine that does the job. He sets the stage.
Okay. So it's not like they're following him around like he's a religious figure.
Some sort of a prophet.
Right.
Or anything. No. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. He feels his calling here on earth is to act as a healer.
Nice.
A healer of body, a healer of mind, a healer of spirit. And so that he's living his purpose.
Yeah. Jon, tell me about how some of these medicines are making their way to the United States, or are they not making, like, can like an average person, like a mom like me that's sitting at home, maybe listening to this podcast while she's doing dishes or something like that, when will she be able to get her hands on Kambo or dragon's blood or any of these other medicinal plant-based medicines and not have to go to Peru or do like this excursion?
Let's go through these. And keep in mind, I mean, these medications, and they are sacred medicines. They are meant to be used in a sacred capacity.
So just before so they'll always be used in like a ceremony. Like you keep saying, I was in a ceremony.
No, you can use dragon's blood anytime.
Okay.
It's almost like a health supplement. And you can even buy dragon's blood on Amazon.com, for crying out loud.
But some of these have such a spiritual component to it.
They do. They're actually created in a specific way. They are created with specific prayers. I mean, these are substances of the earth that they have a spiritual basis, and their creation and their even bottling and their producing is underneath prayer, which is wonderful. Rape, that or hape is another word for that. That's readily available here in the U.S. and legal.
It is?
Absolutely.
Where would you go get it?
I think that it's important to seek out a reputable source, and there are several of those. I mean, I could certainly leave some links, but.
And would the source lead you through a ceremony
I believe it should only be used ceremonially.
Oh, wow.
I believe it should only be used in moments of deep meditation.
Yeah.
Not on a daily basis.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, because the ceremony, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sets the stage of something important happening.
Yes.
You're inviting a different energy into the room, into your heart, into your mind.
And it's all energy work.
Yeah, right. And so it's like creating that environment, right?
Yeah, gotta set the stage.
In order for the medicine to do its work.
And if you don't do that, you're simply just abusing it. And I don't think that that's right.
Yeah.
Kambo.
Yeah.
Kambo is a frog venom. Kambo.
Frog venom.
Yes, it is. And we got to talk about this. All right.
I think we're going to have another episode just on this Kambo frog venom.
And maybe somebody will go and have an experience of her own. But frog venom, it's completely legal here in the United States.
Okay.
It's a resin scraped from the frog's back, and it is powerful. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. But Kambo has amazing antioxidant properties. It is the best lymphatic cleaning that I have ever received in my life.
Meaning,
describe
that.
Well, throughout life, and when we have so much inflammation in our bodies and through eating improper foods and whatnot, we can build up a lot of junk in our system. Now, we have a filtration system in our body called the lymphatic system that's supposed to clean all that out. And what Kambo does very effectively is it really purses your lymphatic system. And so within one day, I feel it. But not only do I feel it, now I have awesome proof of the effectiveness of that.
Yeah. Tell our listeners about what we did today.
Yeah, so we went and got my blood read by Randy Grant.
Divine Nature.
This is company. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he's such a wise man.
Yes, he is. We're going to have him on the podcast when he gets enough time.
But he's reading my blood and he's saying, okay, well, you know what? Your blood looks pretty darn clean here. I don't see any major things. He says, based off of what you were eating, I expect to find a lot of protein in your blood. And I'd expect to find these types of things and those types of things in your blood. But wow, your blood looks great. Now, what I can see is a few weeks ago, you got really sick. And we're looking at the blood cells in the slide, and he's right. The blood cells were breaking down.
Yeah.
And changing shapes. And you could see from that they were ill.
Yeah.
And he says, now these other blood cells, these are mature blood cells, but I can see that these were created with an iron deficiency in your body. And I'm like, okay, so iron deficiency. He's like, so yeah, you should probably start on an iron supplement. He's like, but wait a minute. Now there's these red blood cells here. Now something happened last week, and these are beautiful red blood cells.
If it was a baby, it would be like one of those perfect cherub cheeked children. They were plump and beautiful and the right
cells
color.
That are created under an iron deficiency just don't look like that.
Yeah,
or other things.
They were bouncy. They weren't sticking to each other. They were beautiful
red blood cells. And so I got to share with him, well, I just got back from a Kambo ceremony, and it was a lymphatic cleanse. It purges your liver, purges the gallbladder, purges your kidneys. Everything is cleaned out. And he says, well, that makes perfect sense why your blood looks the way it does and why your new blood cells are as beautiful as they are, because whatever you did, it worked.
Wow.
How cool is that?
It was awesome to be there and see that he was expecting one thing, and he sees so many people, professional athletes, and all over the globe.
And you asked a question to me last week when we were talking about my ceremony in Cambo, and I said I would like to go do more of these, and I said, but it's excruciating. It's not pleasant to go through something like this from a physical nature or a spiritual nature, or even your mind. But you feel so much better afterwards. And you ask, why would you do that? Well, this is the answer, is because of what it did for my body and healing it.
Yeah, it seems like you coming back from this Costa Rica trip, it's just been like Jon 3.0. I would say Jon 2.0 happened probably
3 years ago.
5 or 4 years. Okay, yeah, somewhere in there. And maybe this is like Jon 3.0, where you kind of have this new energy and vitality and this, I don't know if I would say enlightenment, but maybe you're headed that way.
Some of that. I think there is some of that.
Yeah, and a lot of joy, more patience. And I mean, I think you can see, it was interesting to be able to see proof, with our eyes, because a lot of times you can say, oh yeah, I feel so much better, and can describe it in this, metaphoric way. But when you actually have proof on a slide that says, look at my cells are healthier, and you can see your old cells and your new cells and say, look at that.
Pretty incredible.
And tell us, I mean, just in case some of us don't know, why you would want healthy red blood cells in the first place.
Well, your red blood cells are the life's blood to the rest of your body. They carry oxygen to every other cell in your body. And so it is important to have very healthy red blood cells. If you're not able to carry the oxygen to the cells that are necessary, then you develop sick cells.
Yeah.
We don't want sick cells. We want healthy cells.
Right. Because I mean, if you're not carrying the oxygen that you need to your brain, for instance, what
your brain chokes. You do get the brain fog. You do get the you do eventually, it leads to a position of dementia, where our minds aren't functioning the way that they should. These are from oxidants in our body, oxidation in our body from years and years and years. And so if we can do anything to combat that with an antioxidant treatment or antioxidant substance that we can use, the better we are for it.
Yeah.
And I want my body to be healthy. I a few years ago, I would like to say that I established finally that partnership and that understanding with my soul. And with my body, I want my body to be so healthy so I can just give my soul the ride of its life while I'm here on earth.
That's awesome. I love that. So that's your why. I always try and end with, what is your why? And I feel like you just answered that question right there. That's beautiful. Okay, before we end, can you just tell us, I mean, it's kind of bouncing back to what I was talking about before, but like what trends you see like here accessible to us in America in plant-based medicine? Has more people become interested in natural, holistic approaches to their health?
Many of the things are legal. I believe that many things in the United States are illegal because of control. They want control of these things. And for what reason, I don't understand. But this is slowly coming into the light. We're learning about psilocybin, which is a chemical found in mushrooms. It's now legal in many states. And they're doing research on this and finding tremendous benefits to brain regrowth and helping out with depression and anxiety. And it's amazing. And I experienced that a few years ago. And I kept it secret for so long because of embarrassment. But I think these things need to be talked about.
Well, I know we're looking at the Johns Hopkins study where they were treating patients with this. Yeah, so they in one of the Johns Hopkins studies, it was a powerful study, and it was a really large group of people. But one of the first tests that they were able to they were able to perform on humans were on cancer patients. And so they would treat cancer patients with psilocybin mushrooms to see how this would affect them.
And really, without getting into the nitty gritty of the results, 85% of these people, it helped. And there were long-term benefits to it, greater than 6 months of relief from anxiety, depression, and or just a sense of well-being or understanding and acceptance of their disease.
Wow.
And these are terminal cancer patients. They're going to die.
So it didn't heal the cancer,
No.
but it healed their mindset.
Healed their mind and their spirit.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. Now, 15% of them, it had no effect on.
Right. But I think the best part of that study that blew me away, 0% had a bad effect.
No, it didn't harm them one bit.
Right. So, I mean, you cannot get that out of any trial that's coming out of any lab right now to have 0 bad effects.
No.
Nothing that we're promoting on the market has that.
And what's sad is the what I believe is going to happen, and I predict this, is that pharma will get their hands on this and they will pervert the chemical to the point to where it's going to start causing problems. But the fact is God put these types of things on the earth for our benefit. And if we start messing around with them, bad things are going to happen.
So keep it sacred, keep it pure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jon, thank you so much for coming on today. We have so much more to talk about in regards to your Costa Rica trip.
Yep.
Plant-based medicine
Yep.
is such a huge, huge field that we're just getting to the tip of the iceberg. But I hope that the listeners today have had a little bit more curiosity, possibly. If you want to learn more, reach out to us. We love to talk to people about this. You can get the links to us in the show notes today. And Jon, thank you again so much for joining us. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
It's my pleasure. Take care.
I hope you found value in what you heard today. If so, please follow us and go give us that 5-star rating. It really helps us reach more people that need to hear this message. Also, if you're ready to make changes to your health and well-being, go check out our Fat to Fuel program. Our coaching program empowers you to make healthy changes to your life one step at a time. Go to fattofuel.com or click the link in the show notes. We hope to see you there.